Welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we interview the biggest and most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, and capital raisers in the world to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets to help you conquer yourself, your life, your marriage, and use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle so that you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and contribution. If what you're after is having it all, if what you desire is becoming the best version you can be across all areas, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, sentimentally, and financially, you've come to the right place. We will bring to you the best of the best real estate entrepreneurs who will give you the insights, knowledge, experience, and skills so that you can go out and crush it financially and across all areas of your life. Grab pencil and paper, sit back, enjoy, and you are welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. Hello there, Modern Kings and Queens. Welcome to another episode of the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we interview some of the best and most successful real estate investors out there to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets for you to be able to conquer yourself, your life, your marriage, and use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle so that you can achieve your financial freedom and have a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and contribution. I'm excited today because I have an awesome guest. Today, the guest that I have with me, his name is Mark Monroe. He's the founder and principal at TI Assets LLC. He's a #1 best-selling author. He wrote the book called Creative Real Estate Investing. And at the age of 24, Mark turned his career to real estate banking and investment. For over 25 years, Mark successfully completed real estate and business transactions totaling over $400 million. And during this time, Mark has also founded several businesses within multiple different sectors and industries, giving in finance, development, real estate, giving Mark experience that cannot be, competed against. So I'm excited to have you. Thank you very much for being here. I see that you have your book right there on the back. I love it. And you're welcome to the show, Mark. Hello, Modern Kings and Queens. At my company, Millionaire Network Automation, we believe in the power of networking. We believe that in real estate, your net worth is your network. This is why we help real estate investors raise capital by connecting them with their ideal investors and helping them build a massive network of their ideal investors in less than 30 days and with only 4 hours of work per week. If you're interested in this, click the link below in the description of this podcast to learn how you can propel your growth with a reliable system that will consistently help you connect with your ideal investors, build trust, add value, get your investors to promote you and put you in front of more of their investor friends, and raise more capital faster and in a much more effortless way so that you can achieve your financial freedom and still have the time and the energy to pour into every single other area of your life. So go watch the training, and you're going to have the opportunity to book a call to talk about how you can get this 100% done for you system implemented in the next 5 days. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later, and enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Alex. Your stuff is great. The content you put out is amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, man. So the first thing that I do with my guest, Mark, is actually ask them to walk us through their real estate investing journey in 75 seconds or less.
75. I started at a young age. My first deal was actually at 19. There was a creative seller financing deal that I ended up picking up for the seller wanted $21,000. I ended up getting it for $3,000. Mobile home park up in a small town in New England. Created a seller financing note. Got the $3,000 down from my seller. I'm sorry, from my buyer. Used that to buy the property, and then created a note, and that was my car payment for 7 years while I was going to school. So that's what really gave me the taste of the bug for it. And then I just got into doing real estate banking at the age 24, and I ended up having a mortgage company with 107 loan officers. So that's kind of how I started my journey.
Cool. So at 19, you made your first deal?
Yeah, but at 19, but then I didn't do my next deal until I was like 24. I took some time in between. I was going to school, but I grew up in a really small town. I grew up poverty, really poor in a small little town of Vermont. And so I started working at 15 to help at McDonald's, believe it or not. And that's how I learned business, is through McDonald's, flipping burgers, cleaning toilets. And I ended up working with them, and they paid for my schooling. So during that time period, that's where I was really focused my career, is being in upper management with McDonald's at the early age. But then I still had the real estate bug in me.
So you worked at McDonald's, but so you did your first deal on a mobile home park, is that right?
A mobile home, not a park, just one mobile home
Oh, just one.
that the seller, right? I put these signs up, we buy houses on the telephone pole, and I didn't realize I was going to get in trouble by the municipality. So the seller called me up, said, "Hey, I got this mobile home. It's worth 21. Give me 18,000." I said, "No, I'm not interested." Calls me back a week later, goes, "Give me $15,000. It's worth 21,000." I go, "I'm not interested." About a month later, he calls me back. He goes, "Give me $12,000 for it. It's worth 21." I'm like, "Well, do you own the land?" He goes, "No, it's in a mobile home park." I said, "I'm not interested." Another 2 or 3 weeks calls me back, goes, "Give me $6,000. It's worth 21." Now I'm thinking about back of my mind, okay, this is a deal, you know. So I said, "You know what? I'm still not interested, but to help you out, I'll give you I'll give you $3,000. He goes, "No, come on, man. He doesn't live there. He's got lot rent coming up." He goes, "Give me 4,000." I said, "I'm not interested. I'll give you 3,000." He goes, "Okay, I'll do it for 3,000." So I hung up the phone, put an ad in the newspaper, classified ad, mobile home for sale, seller financing, $25,000 with $3,000 down. So I took that 3,000, and the first lady called me up. They went to look at it, her boyfriend and their child. They went to look at it. They liked it. It was in good condition. So they gave me the $3,000. I took that $3,000, gave it to the seller, and ended up creating a note at 7.5% over 7 years. It was like $279 a month. That was my car payment while in insurance payment while I was in school back in the day. That was my first, you know, nowadays 200 and something dollars is not a lot of money, but back then, $275 paid for your car payment and insurance while you're going to school. So that was my first taste of doing the creative real estate investing.
That is crazy, man. So let's see. So you put it on a ad, right? That you needed $3,000 down, and then it was 25, but it was like seller financing. So you actually wholesaled that deal without even knowing, I guess.
Yeah, but I created a note instead of paying me, and I do that with wholesale deals, right? These wholesalers, I have one just recently, the wholesaler, my assignment fee I was looking for was $15,000, and I don't do a lot of wholesaling, was $15,000. But to make the deal work, I'd have to drop my assignment fee down to 5,000. I said, "You know what? This is what I'll do. I'm gonna change my assignment fee to $30,000 at a 9% interest rate, and you can pay me my assignment fee monthly over 5 years." And now I'm getting over $42,000 instead.
Damn, that was awesome, man. So but I'm guessing that that didn't make the shift for you to like go all in into real estate. You still like kept on going to school. And then how did that journey go? Yeah, so like
So
you
I
were able
was
to
I
like
was
make this awesome deal, but then did it not click for you, or did you have like another
I
goal
was
in mind at that time?
I was too focused in running McDonald's. No, this time I was running a region, a small region. So it was taking my time and energy, and I was in upper management. So, at that age, at 19, 20, I think I was more into power. How stupid is that, instead of the dollar? At that age, at 19, you really don't respect the dollar. You know what I mean? You're going out there spending money stupidly. You're just immature with the money at that age. The people are that respect the dollar at that young age, they become millionaires really quickly. Versus a lot of people at that age, when you don't learn how to respect dollar, you don't understand banking. Like nowadays, there's a lot of resources so you can understand this stuff. But back then, we didn't really have resources. Our parents didn't really teach us how to balance a check out. The school system didn't teach you any of that stuff. So you fell on your face a lot until you understand, until you understand economics and really, the income and debits and all that stuff. So I was with McDonald's for almost 10 years, 15 to like almost 25. And I took
Damn.
time off, and yeah, I took time off to learn more about real estate banking. And whoops, sorry about that. To learn more about real estate banking. So I took this origination class, and it was about a week long. The instructor liked me. So I went to go work for the instructor. And I was with there for about a year and a half. My two partners left that. We started our own real estate banking business, and we blew it up to 109 loan officers. And a lot of my clients during that time were real estate investors, and I became friends with them. So I started surrounding myself and understanding what they're doing, the different strategies. And then, coming from the real estate banking background world, I knew how to structure seller financing deals. So most of my stuff I do is seller financing deals with different strategies on residential, commercial development. We were talking before about land development. I'm developing 149 doors outside of Charlotte. And that was through a seller financing strategy with the seller as well with the land. So I kind of go down that path. So that's kind of where it led me at. And I had different businesses throughout the years.
And I'm very curious about something. So I want to go back to like your journey, right? And the fact that you were able to um, build your lending business and all of that, and then go into real estate and talk a little bit more about that. But I'm curious about something that you said right now, which was that, when you're young, most people when they're young, they don't respect the dollar, right? And you said that what you cared was power. Tell me about that, man.
You're immature. You want to think you're the man so you can, girls if you want. You're trying to show your status as a as a teenager to try to make yourself and like having power, controlling. But at the same time, it was for me, it was almost like a high as well of running a business and having 500 employees at the age of 20 underneath you, managing those people, even though it was McDonald's. So I think I was thriving on that of like building, having that and kind of teaching people. And so I kind of became a teacher, but at the same time, I think deep down inside, I was, more about the power because, I grew up so poor, some of the, as a child, you had, being bullied and stuff. So you kind of change your whole thought process and mindset. And then I started surrounding myself, I was in high school, 15, 16, hanging out with these managers that were older, 20, and
Yeah.
I couldn't even drive, and I was dating this girl that was a junior in college type of thing. So I surround myself with those type of people. So like we talk about, it's about networking and who you surround yourself. So instead of hanging around people getting in trouble, going out there and being a thug at 2 o'clock in the morning and at 15 years old, I pulled myself and started working and started hanging around more adults when I was like 15, 16.
So did this mindset of thriving with power, did you have to get rid of it when you went into business, or did it actually serve you in some way?
Um, it served me. It served me. That's how I ended up having that successful mortgage company with 107 loan officers. But then what happens is you tend to in life you get kicked in the nuts in a sense,
Yeah.
and it's a wake up call. So life is a cycle. You're gonna have great years and down years. You just got to make sure that you're ahead of it and you're kind of planning for those down years. And it just kind of makes you so when I got to an age when I sold that mortgage business, the hunter said I came to Florida and I invested a lot of my money into a startup business, and I had 60 employees. And I was like early 30s now at this point. I had 60 employees, and it was back around like the .com starting out like that. To make $800, it cost us 3,500. And it was a technology, online technology, and like, oh, don't worry about it, show volume. We had the Tampa Bay Bucks put in $7.5 million in this business. So, we had all the nice office, we were kind of young and stupid. So we had the nice office, we're spending money stupidly, taking people to dinner. So we ran out of that money. And the money that when I sold my business to my partners, I dipped into my own savings and covered payroll and all the expenses for 2 months.
Damn.
So all that money I made when I was younger, I lost it all in another business adventure. Now it was kind of a wake up call. And then that's kind of really where it's like, wow, so when you did really well, then you have to start over. That was kind of my wake up moment, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And the reason I was curious to ask you this, and it's probably not a common question that you get, right? But the reason I was curious to ask you this is because I just had an interview yesterday, right, with a man who was telling me about how hard his journey had been, right? And it's cool because you're able to learn a lot of those types of people, right? Like people that have it really hard. And I was telling him um how like my journey hasn't been that hard, right? Like I've been blessed, right? And he was like, yeah, well, you're blessed. Just make sure that when things start to get even better, right, and you start having a lot of success, just make sure to not let it get to your head, right, and get arrogant and think that it's because of you, right, and give thanks to God because it's probably because of him, right, because you're blessed. So that is why, man, and I find myself constantly having to consciously work on being respectful and humble. That's actually two of my values, right? That I have on the forefront of my mind, because I have a tendency to not be, even though they're my values, right? I have a tendency to not be respectful and humble, right? And I make a conscious choice to be like that every single day. So that's why I was curious about asking you that. But another more interesting thing that I want to ask you, man, is can you walk me through the journey of how you were able to start a lending business, right? Grow it to over 100 loan officers. I don't know. I don't remember how much time you told me that took, and then sell that business. You actually sold that business.
Yes. So I've sold a couple businesses, but
Cool.
that one, I was there. I sold it to my partners. Um, I was in that one for about 5 years, and we just built it up over time. And but it was such a moneymaker business back in the day, and we hired everybody from college there. I mean, I remember we had these five guys living in a row home downtown Baltimore, and some of the stories that they would tell me, they're out there weekend, and then it's just a big party. They have been girls back, they're all having a big party, and these guys were making really good money, just out of college, like 20, 21-ish or 22-ish. I mean, these guys, I remember they got a paycheck for one guy got a paycheck for $7,800 on a Friday. He comes in Monday morning. He goes, "I need an advance of $5,000 on my next check." I go,
Okay.
"What in the world?" He blew it all on a book on football games.
Yeah. So
So yeah. So go ahead.
no, no, you're good.
Um, what was your question again? Like how?
Yeah.
Oh, when I sold it. Yeah. So we had good people. I mean, the business we're in, it was just money making. It was like the subprime world. Doing subprime lending, and how we used to generate our business. We ran full page newspaper ads in the back of the Baltimore Sun, in the back in the Washington Post. So on Sundays back in the day, your parents used to watch, probably read the newspaper every Sunday. So we used to lay it down, and it used to generate hundreds and hundreds of phone calls, like on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's how we generated a lot of our business. Um, and they're great people. I mean, I still talk to a lot of those people, very good people. But I was arrogant. Instead of being comfortable making $300,000-400,000 a year, I wanted to make millions. I wanted 10, 20, where I should have just stayed where I was at, being comfortable making a $300,000 or $400,000 a year and investing it wisely. And because I was young, I was like 20 at that time, 28, making $35,000 a month. And then at the end, taking hundreds of, at the end of the year, taking hundreds of thousands bonus. We had season tickets to the Baltimore Ravens, the Orioles, the Washington Redskins. And then we had credit cards. I'm taking people out $5,000, a month, each of us. So we're just spending money stupidly. And pretty much didn't, like I said, didn't respect it. And then you just kind of, you have a wake up call. Like you always think things are great and business is great, but then there's downtimes and you're like, oh, okay. But that's kind of the journey that I went through. And then after, when that happened, I couldn't work for 6 months. I was just fried because I worked a lot. And I was, when I built it up, I would work, I'll be there like at 8:30 in the morning and be there till 9 o'clock at night. So I was just working and then just partying it up on the weekends, type of thing, that type of thing. So I had the energy. And now at this age, you know I don't want all the employees. I want to enjoy the quality of life a little bit more. Like what is it, next week I'm leaving for Cape Town. I'm going down there for almost 3 weeks, 2.5 3 weeks down to Cape Town. So for now, at my stage in life, I travel all over because I'm living in South Florida. I travel all over the world now, and I work remotely. So I'll be down there working. But the problem is you got to start working at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But I'll work about 3 hours and just accomplish just as much in 3 hours than some people do in an office working 8 hours because they're just talking. So I'm just at a different place and a different mindset now.
Yeah, nice. So I'm at a phase in my life in which even if I didn't have to work, I still would choose to, right? Like I just want to work a lot. But I have my boundaries because I do have like a daughter and my wife, and I'm married. I forgot my to put my how do you call this, my ring after working out today. But yeah, I'm married and I have a daughter and I have a family. So, and I'm all about being a modern king, right? And having, and working in every single aspect of my life. So I do have very set boundaries that I do respect and make sure to keep. So I kind of
That's
work, but I
key.
also give. Go ahead.
That's key. That's key. The boundaries, knowing where you're at, and like you have to, and that's the what. That's just a wake up call at a certain age. You just kind of, and you have to set that. Otherwise, you can go too far, and then you just spiral out of control.
Yeah, and I've found, because like I've had some instances in which I do lean a lot to like just business, right? To my camera decided to take a vacation, man. But you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect. Yep.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So yeah, so I've had instances in which I do I lean a lot to one area, right? Like for example, business. But then there's almost like no point in doing that, right? Like there's literally no point, because whatever it is that you got to do, whatever the reason it is that makes you feel like you got to work more than you should be working, could probably be solved by implementing systems or processes, or hiring someone, or hiring some experience. So in your experience, Mark, what has allowed you to like go from making a lot of money, and having to work a lot, to like being able to make a lot of money as well, but not having to work so much, and having more freedom, and the freedom to like be able to enjoy your life a lot more, travel, and give a lot more time to yourself and your family? What has been the key to be able to accomplish that?
I would say two things. Learning when to shut down. Just when you shut down, stop focusing on work. Just literally shut your mind down, because otherwise you can get burnt out. Because a lot of times, in our mind, we're constantly thinking about work, instead of, you know, 9 o'clock at night, spending time with your family. You are, but you're still thinking in the back of your head, in your mind here, about something with work. That's probably one of the things. And then also, for me, is really taking time in the mornings and really focusing on my mental, my physical. So like I really don't start working until like 11:30 in the morning now. So in the
Cool.
mornings, yeah, my mornings, sure, I'm working off my phone, but I cycle every morning. I ride my bike for an hour. I live by the ocean, so I stop, I meditate there for about 20 minutes to 30 minutes, or even at home, I'm on the water here. I meditate right out back here in the water. And then I pop into the gym too. So, and then I'm always constantly educating myself and learning. So that's probably one of the main things. Because you learn, like you can get just as much done in 3 or 4 hours in a day than you can do in a whole entire day, because you spend. And then I would say the other big thing that's a wake up is us as business owners. You get pulled in 100 different directions. I got to do this. I got to post something on social media. I got to go ahead and call this seller. I got to call this investor, or this one or that one. We get pulled in other way. So you have good systems, but when you do your systems, and if you have a VA, you organize your system to work on. This is the key: work on what's closest to the money. Work on closest to the money. Whatever you're working on now in your priority list, is that going to get you money closer to your bank account versus something else? And that's where a lot of people, they get pulled in different directions, and they sit and they focus on the wrong thing that's a priority. And the top priorities always work what's closer to the money, because if you have money in your account, it's easier to solve all the problems in your business.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, money in your accounts, right? Like when you're generating money, that's actually what will allow you to implement systems and processes, or if not, hire someone who can build those systems and processes, right? And hire experience and all of that. So, do you actually? Because I mean, I do that, right? Like I start my working schedule at 9, and by 9 a.m., when I get to the office, I've already poured into every single area of my life: physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, sentimental, with my family. Like I've already poured into all of that. So I actually wake up at 4, right? I also like meditate and spend time with myself and with God. I read, I make sure to learn, and I read two types of materials: spiritual development stuff, and then I also read like skills, or like hard skills that I want to learn. And then I go to the gym, and I also spend some time with my family, like an hour.
Okay. Sounds like you use the what's that
There
book
you go.
called? Oh my God. What's
Yeah.
that one book when you get up in the morning? Oh my God. I'm having a You get up early in the morning and you go through everything. Oh, it's gonna come to me. I've done it. I do it. I kind of redo it every couple of years. I've always read the book over. It'll come to me. The power, the gentleman that got in a car accident at 19 and he almost lost his life. He started over and he reprogrammed his brain. What is
The
that book called?
Habits, the Habits book,
Something like that.
Atomic
Like,
Habits.
yeah, almost like habits, but you're just reprogramming your mind, and you're setting yourself up like every morning, like you get up, you have a routine, and you stay in that routine. You work on your mental, you work on your meditation. If you
Slight
notice
edge.
everybody that, yes, absolutely. So everybody that has that is usually when they have that type of structure in the morning, they're the ones that usually tend to succeed.
Yeah. So, um, and it sounds like
Oh, the miracle morning, the miracle morning.
Miracle Morning Routine. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've read that book. So yeah, and then I go to the gym. I spend like an hour with my family. I have breakfast with them. And then I get to the office right at 9, and then I start my work day. But I've learned that before I used to not do that, and I used to like always be in a rush. You know what's the reason most entrepreneurs are always in a rush, man? Because of doubt. They don't think that
Yes.
what they want will actually happen. So they're like rushing through everything and always like with urgency. That was like a crazy mindset shift. I don't remember where I came across it, but I did, and I've been able to work on changing that. But yeah, so like by the time I get to work at 9, I've already poured into every single other area of my life. Um, so it works. I think it works. I think that's one of the things that, and then I work for 6 hours from 9 to 3, and then from 3 to 5 I podcast. So I do 2 podcasts, like every other day. So I only work 6 hours. And another thing is that you gotta design your life you gotta design your work life around your life, not the other way around, right? And that's like, I don't know. That's like a mistake that every single entrepreneur makes. And focusing on like what you said on the things that get you close to the money is key, because these kind of decisions and thinking the way that we're talking about right now will be possible when you are already making money, right? If not, right, you always feel in a rush, and you will always be like wanting to work and everything like that, and then everything always seems urgent, right? So yeah, I lost my train
One
of.
other thing,
Go ahead.
yeah, one other thing I want to piggyback off of that, of moving through that, and this is where you kind of said you're saying about the different things, the mindset, and this is where I think a lot of people fail is there, and you said that I'm trying to remember exactly how you said it, but they're scared of failure. And the way you got to look at it is if you're not failing, you're not succeeding and you're not learning. You have to fail to be able to succeed and move forward, if that makes sense. And that's one of the big things. And I think that's the biggest fear in a lot of people in real estate or whatever they're trying to do is they're afraid of failing, they're afraid of screwing up. Who cares? You have to fail. And when I work with people and they never done real estate and they're practicing the first time doing it, I always tell them, jump on Zillow, call the for sale by owner leads outside your area and just practice. And just like spring training, you want to fail so you can, if you want to screw up, so then you practice, so then you're going to be better, much better when you start talking to people in your market or whatever you're trying to accomplish. So don't be afraid of failing is only a learning experience. Look at Elon Musk. If you guys watch a documentary with him on SpaceX on Netflix, they wanted to fail, and the
Yeah.
fail, that's what they made them succeed. So if you're not failing, you're not learning. They wanted to blow those rockets up on purpose to understand, so they don't lose loss of life. So keep that in mind. You want to fail. If you're failing, it's a learning experience, and that's what's going to make you grow.
Looking forward to fail, exactly. And I think before I want to now go into like the book that you wrote and and a little bit more into your real estate investing career. But before I go into that, I just want to make sure to not breeze over this lesson, man. Because I think failing. Let me just change my microphone. I don't know why this like the technology is just going crazy today, man. This is not my voice.
I hear you. I hear you're good.
Hello, modern kings and queens. I'm sorry for the interruption. I know you're enjoying the episode, but I have something super important that you must listen to. If you've been following this podcast for a while now, it's because of one of two reasons. Number one, you aspire to have it all, to unlock your potential across all areas of your life and achieve true freedom physically, emotionally, spiritually, sentimentally, and of course, financially. And or number two, you're a real estate investor or an aspiring real estate investor who has chosen to use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle to achieve financial freedom. My mission as part of the Modern Kings and Queens movement is to help as many people as I can achieve financial freedom using the vehicle of real estate. And I believe that networking can be an incredibly powerful tool to help you unlock your potential across all areas, but more importantly, financially. More specifically, in real estate. I believe that in real estate, your net worth is your network. This is why I created the 4-step capital raising networking system to help real estate investors propel their growth by using a reliable system that will consistently help them connect with their ideal investors, build trust, add value, get their investors to promote them and put them in front of more investors, and raise more capital faster and in a much more effortless way so that they can become successful, not only financially, but across all areas of their life. If this is something that you want, and this is something that you're interested in, click the link below to gain access to a training that will explain the 4 steps to building a high leverage network that you can use to raise millions of dollars in capital, propel your growth in real estate, and achieve financial freedom in a much more effortless way so that you can have more time and energy to pour into every single other area of your life so that you can become successful, not only financially, but across all areas of your life. In this training, you will learn 4 things. Number 1, aligned connections. I'll show you how to network effectively and how to make sure that your networking efforts work by leveraging a secret, little known concept called the cloak track. Number 2, networking tool. I'm gonna reveal to you a secret networking tool that the top 5% of successful real estate investors use to become successful. And I'm gonna show you how you can use it too to become successful and get out of that 95% of real estate investors that don't really make it. 3, high status communication. In order for someone to invest in you, they have to feel like they know you, like you, and trust you. A lot of people can communicate, but very few can connect. High status communication will allow you to build trust and add value in a way that will make people feel like they know you, like you, and trust you for years in a time span of 30 minutes. And lastly, the 4th thing is the attention multiplication machine. The world doesn't run on oil anymore. It runs on attention. And this last thing, the attention multiplication machine, will show you how to get wealthy investors to promote you and put you in front of more wealthy investors so that you can raise more capital faster and in a much more effortless way. So if this is something that interests you, click the link below to go watch the training. Make sure you stay all the way to the end. If you find value and you want to book a call to talk about how you can get this completely offhand system, completely done for you system, implemented for you in the next 5 days. So click the link below. I'll see you on the other side. And I hope you enjoyed the rest of your episode. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. There you go. There you go. Okay. So yeah, I just want to make sure to not breeze over this lesson because I think I have this mindset where I believe that I don't fail. Like I either win or learn, right? I either win or learn, but like failure is not even a possibility for me because when I do fail, right, in the eyes of like other people, right, from the outside in, it was just a learning experience. And actually, this weekend I was playing chess with my wife by the pool. We live in an apartment building, and I was playing chess by the pool with my wife and a man, an old guy. Well, he was pretty, pretty old. He came and he was like, "Who's winning?" And I was like, "My wife is winning, man." And then later on, my wife didn't want to play anymore with me. And then I told him, "Hey, do you like to play chess?" And he said, "Yeah." Right. And we started playing. And the man, he like he beat me, man, like 2 times, but like really, really hard. Right. And it was just fascinating. And then the first time that he beat me, I was like, wait. Before we play another one, let me just think about the things that I learned. And then I was like, 1, and then I mentioned to him the lesson, and then 2, and then I mentioned to him the lesson, and then 3, and then I mentioned to him the lesson, and then and then I just learned a bunch of stuff, and I was just fascinated. And he was like, "You seem excited," and then I was like, "Yeah, it's because I like to lose." And then he was like, "Don't say that." No, yeah, like the reason that I'm saying that is because when I lose, right? That's in the perspective of other human beings, from the outside in. When I lose, it was just an opportunity for me to learn. And whenever I lose, it was just because I confronted a challenge that was a little bit bigger than myself, which I wasn't able to win at, to beat. And that just means that I'm just gonna get better from there, man. And I told him about
100%.
that. He really appreciated my like mindset and my attitude, and then we played for like 4 more rounds, and he beat me every single one of them. But it was great, man. It was like one of the best plays that I've ever had in my life. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure to not breeze over that lesson.
I love how your mindset is says you don't fail, you learn, and that's true. You just take the failure out of the vocabulary and change it to learning. That's key. That's really key. That's a golden nugget right there.
So man, I see your book over there behind you. And I actually just saw a post today on Facebook, right? It became #1 bestseller, I think.
Yes, that is
Tell
correct.
me about it.
Yep. Yeah. So everybody's been asking me to write a book for several years. So most of my because I came from the real estate banking world, I understand the banking side of it. I know how to structure mortgages notes and I structure seller financing deals. So most of even while the market was booming and everybody was doing the wholesaling and all that, I was always still doing the seller financing. So what I like to do is I like to buy through seller financing and turn around and sell through seller financing and stay in the middle and create an arbitrage instead of like having to go and clean the toilet out or get a phone call 2 o'clock in the morning. I set it up in a way where my end buyer is responsible for all that, so I'm just controlling by paper. Now there is granted some like some I do some holds, like I purchased a multifamily unit, 13 doors with zero down. So that was another aspect of it. So I like this strategy because you can learn literally um lock up. Like I did a deal and I just closed on, I locked it up for $100 on a
Mhm.
contract and I ended up making $50,500 on the deal, and it's called a sandwich lease option. So it was like so what I did is I go under a contract as a rental, like a rent to own, and allows me to
Mhm.
sublet it. And then I found my end buyer, and you can use that strategy for Airbnbs. That's a pretty big thing right now as well. So, but that's kind of how I started. And what happened was, people have been asking me to write a book. A year ago, actually during the holidays last year, about that, we were in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, out there because my other half's father was ill. So we were out there taking care of him for about 3 months, and then I went out to the patio and just I wrote the book and put it together and launched it. It was #1 in October on Amazon for over a week. So
Nice.
so so it's gone well. It's doing really well. And so now because of that, everybody's wanting me to coach, and now I just launched a coaching program. In the process of launching a coaching program.
Cool. So teaching all about creative financing, right? That's what it's focused on.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's creative financing, but really the seller financing strategies. Like for example, about 2 years ago, here's an example I did with seller. Um, it was a land development deal in North Carolina, and the seller wanted like 1.5 million for his land.
Mhm.
I don't remember the acreage, but it was 41 lots that we end up doing. And I go to the seller. I said, if you wait for your money, I can get you, instead of 1.5 for it, I can get you, it was close. I think it came out to be like 2.9 million instead of the 1.5. And the reason why is we ended up doing a JV with a seller, and the developer slash builder loved it because he didn't have to come in with the 20% down. We used the land as the leverage of the deposit to go get the financing for the
Yeah.
loan. And then what happened was every time a lot was sold off, the seller received his money. So he ended up making like 2.9 million on that instead of the 1.5. So that's the type of creative stuff that we kind of I think of in doing those type of, that's just one strategy.
That's awesome. And it sounds like it would be very helpful for any real estate investor out there who's trying to get started with like no money, right? Like they just have no money. And that's like a limited belief for a lot of people, right? Like I can't get started investing in real estate because I have no money. But I can see, it sounds like seller financing or creative financing is like a massive tool to be able to get over that roadblock. But my question is, like, does this creative financing, seller financing, does this come? Is there like a framework for it, like that you can follow, like A, B, C, like a formula, or does the ability to do that experience?
Yes, it does come with experience, but and that's kind of where I go through the book is it really comes down to listening to the seller, talking to the seller, and understanding what the seller's trying to accomplish and how to solve the seller's problem. That's really what it comes down to. One of my students, we have a deal in Georgia. The seller had the property free and clear, and it's a house was only worth $128,000 in this part of Georgia. And the seller was open to doing seller financing. And what happened was he wanted $30,000 down on 128. I go in the back of my mind, it just doesn't make sense putting that much capital down on a property, 25, 30%. Just the numbers don't make any sense. So I'm talking to
Yeah.
him like, hey, sell the property when you get to 30,000. What are you planning on doing? He goes, I need $25,000 to go do a camper. I'm doing a camper. I'm going to go across. And I started talking to him. I found out he banks at a credit union. I found out he's got good credit. And so I said, you know what? I can't remember his name. I said, Mr. Seller, you're going to have a hard time selling this property. Nobody is going to put that much capital down on seller financing on this deal. They can go to the bank and only put 5% down. They don't have to come with that. But this is what I'll do. I will give you $3,500 down. You go to your credit union, go get the loan for the camper for the 25,000. And what I'll do is on the 20th of every month, we'll go ahead and automatically send a payment to your finance company on your behalf for that camper. And because of that, we end up setting it up and we got the deal
That's
so we locked up.
crazy, man. That
So
is crazy.
so that's where it comes to. You listen, and that's what I really teach is you got to listen to the seller and understanding how to solve their problems.
Yeah.
Another example. Yeah, another example. I have over 600 bird dogs that feed me deals. I built
Okay.
up. My best well, Trashman's an example. They know the homes, the neighborhood would know the house are vacant. But my number one where I get my home run deals, hospice nurses.
Mm.
Do you know what hospice is?
Hospices?
Yeah, hospice nurses. Like you
That's
may
where
not know
you're
it.
really. How come?
Do you know what it is? Hospice nurses?
Yeah. Well, no, no, no,
So,
no. So no. Yeah.
right. So hospice nurses are it's a nurse that goes into a home, mainly it could be in a hospital, but mainly home, where somebody only has 6 months left in their life to live, 6 months or less. So the
Mm-hmm.
nurses come into the homes and they help make them comfortable. So I have one right now that came in that we're working on. It's up in Massachusetts. It's an elderly couple, and he is ill, and she's too elderly to help him out. So they had to move in with the daughter. The daughter lives over 3 hours away, and the hospice nurses go and help them. But they live over the house. The daughter lived over 3 hours away. They own this home for 38 years, and the house is just too much for them to get ready to put onto the market. So what they called me up. I said, just don't worry about anything. Just leave what you want and just take what you want and leave everything else behind. I mean, they left everything: cable boxes, modems, TVs, the holiday decorations, dishes. They left everything. So I structured that as a seller financing deal with a 7-year balloon. And I set it up where we put her mortgage into a trust. So if anything happens to her, it goes to the heirs and children. And I set it up where I don't have to make any payments for 2 months because I got to clean it out and get it ready to go ahead and resell it through another. So I buy through seller financing and I turn around and sell it through seller financing. So I marked it up. My payment to the seller is $990 a month at a 3.5% interest rate. I marked it up 79,000, sold it to my end buyer. His rate is at 7.5, and I'm getting about $2,200 a month, $2,300 a month to my end buyer now. So that was just an example.
That's crazy, man. So, that is what you teach in your book. Is that what you go through? You go. So, like,
Yeah.
explain to me how the book is structured. A little bit about how the book is structured for anyone who might be thinking about going and getting it.
Well, the book is structured because each one of these strategies could be a separate book. So it really kind of gives you a lot of the information and understand the different strategies and how to find these deals and kind of understand them. And then I give you more resources of different coaches if you want to just learn the different strategies or whatnot. Um, and then how to go out there and kind of learn how to do these resources, how to find somebody else to kind of like, if you want to learn how to do some of these, have the capital, you know, be a bird dog and bring a deal to somebody that has experience, and they'll show you how to do it and walk you through it. Or you can do different mentorships group as well. If you have a little bit of savings, you can kind of join some of these programs and you can kind of grow. Like you and I, we talked about mentorship programs. I'm in another mastermind, if you will, and there's 20 of
Hmm.
us in this mastermind group, high level, and we each paid $18,000 a year to be part of. But we're doing high level stuff. It's like that country club. Like we've done a couple storage facilities, one in Tennessee, another in Alabama. So you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying my course is $18,000, but I'm just saying that's the type of stuff I'm always surrounding myself with like-minded people.
Nice.
And,
Awesome.
the
Well,
other thing I talk about, in the book, also, I'm sorry to cut you off there, Alex, is how to raise capital, where to go out there and find the capital through your friends. What I tend to do is when I first started needing capital, um, I would go to conventions. Have you been to conventions before? Not
yeah,
real
for sure.
estate
Like
related. Just
networking events and stuff.
well, yeah, yes, networking is 100%, and that's the key is networking. But what I did is I went to a cardiac convention, cardiac physician,
Okay.
heart, and it was in Miami at Key Biscayne. And when you go to these conventions, guess where a lot of the networking is done? At the lobby hotel bar. I just went there and sat at a lobby hotel bar and just started talking and networking and started talking to people. Just, hey, what do you do? Blah, blah, blah. End up raising $450,000 that way.
Damn. Yeah, awesome. So I think you have another really awesome resource that could be valuable to the audience. Your Facebook group, Seller Financing Facebook group. Is that
Yep,
like a public group, or how
it
does that
is.
work?
Yeah, it's a public group that I originally designed for people to look, put properties in it through self financing so we can buy and purchase. But it's kind of been growing. I think there's 53,000 people in there, seller financing homes. I have another group called Creative Real Estate Investing. That's about 3,000. But really, the seller financing group is where a lot of the values in there. You can find properties. If you find a property and you need help structuring it, there's people in there. Other investors also will jump in there and help. You can just post a question or anything like that. So that's a great resource if you're on Facebook. Is it's a public group, by the way. And then my other group is private, and then I have the mentorship group that with my students, and that's private in there. So
Hmm.
that's kind of where we do a lot of questions and structuring on that.
I have the link to that public Facebook group, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it wherever this podcast appears, so that people, if they're interested, could and want to learn about seller financing, could go into that Facebook group and ask any question or just collaborate with anyone who is in there as well. I think it has like 50,000 members, right?
Yeah, I think it's 54,000 members currently right now. That is correct.
Awesome. So Mark, I end my podcast episodes with a couple of questions, and we do have a few minutes.
Sure.
So I'm gonna go ahead and ask you the first one. So Mark, off
Shoot
record,
away.
this is going to be edited out. But man, I've just been going crazy with with like my stuff, my equipment. It's probably because place, right? Because yeah, so
You know
it's
what I have to
probably
do
like
now?
I changed it.
You know what I have to do? A lot of times I got to reboot my system every time after I do certain Zooms and stuff. It just takes up so memory.
Yeah. So have you noticed it? Like, because I've been going crazy, right? Like on the background. But have you noticed it? Have you felt it, or no?
In general, with doing different podcasts and stuff. Yeah, that's why if I'm doing several in a row, I got to reboot my system. Like when I get done with this, I'm getting ready to do my Tuesday mentorship with my students, and I'm gonna end up rebooting it because we're gonna be on Zoom. So it's the same
Okay.
thing. It happens. So I noticed that too.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll stay like that. I'll stay frozen in my face. But I'll go ahead and keep on talking. Okay. So this will
Absolutely.
be edited out. So Mark, the first question is so now that you're working with students and stuff, what is a false belief that you've had, or maybe that you see a lot of people beginning in the real estate investing journey have that holds them back?
Um, I think they're scared. I think they're afraid of screwing up and making mistakes. They're it's outside their comfort zone and they don't want to push themselves through that comfort zone. I think that's probably one of the biggest things is just practice and like we talked about earlier, you learn from those things. That's kind of where I think that's where a lot. And then people like, oh, I can't do it. I don't have money, or my credit's shot, or whatever. I think those are the type of things that really hold people back. But don't, you can kind of do it. There's so many ways of doing real estate. You don't need money. You don't need credit. Just kind of get out there, network, and surround yourself with like-minded people. That's going to pull you up to that next level.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great insight. So the next question is, you just talk about, like, just kind of get out there and network with people, right? And get in front of opportunities. So building relationships and networking is key to be successful in the real estate investing game and raising capital, finding deals, and all of that. So what networking strategy or advice can you give on that, Mark?
Just go network and listen and figure out how you can bring value. And most of the investors, if you don't have the resources to kind of jump into it, if you have the resources, all means jump right into it. But if you don't have the resources, network and talk to different investors, how long they've been doing it, and see what kind of deals they're looking for, and go try to find them a deal. And use your energy and your effort, your sweat equity, if you will, and bring it to a deal, and then learn from that, and then make some money along the way.
Nice. Awesome. Then the last question is, let's flip the coin. And right now we talked about, what holds people back from being successful in real estate, or from doing what it takes to be successful in real estate. But, on the other side, what is an empowering belief that you see a lot of real estate investing winners have?
What is the power belief? They have the desire, they want it. They just have that desire. I mean, you if you put your mind to it, you can pretty much achieve anything you want. So you become what you think, and that's kind of what it is. And anything in life is always going to have some challenges. So you just got to always think, okay, this is just a roadblock, or whatever it may be. Just kind of go around it. Like, hey, you're working a deal and you're putting all your time and energy, and you worked it for about a month and a half, and then the deal blows up. Who cares? Go on to the next one. Those type of things.
Yeah. So today I was just talking with, like, one of my, like, a key person here in my company, and we were talking about how you get to a point in which there's so many things that you can mess up, right? And if you just don't give up, right, like you end the list of the things that you can mess up and win, right? Just because you decided to show up and you had the desire to win and you didn't give up.
Exactly.
So
Yep, that's
Mark,
100%.
We're at the end, and if anyone wants to get a little bit more of the vast amount of experience and knowledge that you have in the real estate investing field when it comes to creative financing or seller financing, or all of the things that we've been able to talk about here in this podcast, and they just want to connect and learn more about you, where would be the place for anyone to do that?
Sure. Go to my website, Mark dash, or the minus sign, Monroe. Mark, that minus sign on the keyboard, Monroe.com. And in there, you can link you to all my social media platforms, LinkedIn or whatever, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Awesome. That's like a link tree, right?
Yeah, it is. So it's a URL that goes right straight to my link tree.
Yeah, we have it. All right. So if you want to connect with Mark, I'll have a link in the description of this podcast, and in that link, you're gonna be able to have access to everything, to his Facebook, TikTok, to his YouTube, to his book, to even his calendar, if you want to book a time to talk to him. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that link wherever this appears. Mark, do you have anything else that you would like to leave the audience with?
No, I think the information and the content you're putting out is amazing. Highly recommend listening to you, because your information is so good, especially for people thriving and want to kind of succeed. So I love it. Great stuff, Alex.
Awesome. Well, Mark, thank you very much, man, and I'll see you later, okay?
Take care. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for listening to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. We want you to know that we love and appreciate you, and we're super grateful about being part of your journey of becoming a successful real estate entrepreneur and having it all. Please share this episode with a friend who you think will be impacted positively. Send it to someone who you know is interested in real estate and dreams of having it all and being the best they can be across all areas. And if you thought this episode was really valuable, share it on your social media as a post or a story. We have a special gift for all of those who contribute to the Modern Kings and Queens movement. So for those of you who decided to share this episode and help us spread our message, send me a message letting me know on any social media platform at Alex Ramirez, the Modern King. I have a special surprise for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.